What if something you do almost every day, something as simple as fixing leftovers, could be quietly increasing your risk of serious illness down the line, like cancer or even dementia? It's something we all think about, isn't it, as we get older? The fear of losing our health, our independence, or our memories can weigh heavily on our minds. We try to eat well, stay active. We do our best, but sometimes the things we don't even realize are potential risks are right under our noses. Today, I want to talk about something often overlooked: reheating certain common foods. You see, while leftovers are convenient and save money, how you store and reheat them, or even if you reheat them, can sometimes create compounds or allow bacteria to multiply in ways that could potentially raise concerns for your long-term health. Linking back to those very worries about things like cancer and brain health, it sounds surprising, doesn't it? But understanding this isn't about fear, it's about taking control. In this video, we're going to gently walk through 5 common foods you might be reheating regularly and explain why being mindful about them is important. And most importantly, what you can do differently to keep yourself safer and healthier. It's simpler than you think. Stick around to the very end, because what we cover could genuinely surprise you and change how you think about your kitchen habits. Let's start with a staple in many kitchens around the world: rice. We often cook up a big pot of rice, perhaps for a meal, and then tuck the leftovers into the fridge thinking we'll use it the next day or two. It's practical, it saves wasting food, and it's quick to reheat. But here's where a potential issue arises that's less about the reheating itself and more about what happens before reheating. You see, uncooked rice, believe it or not, can contain spores of a type of bacteria called Bacillus cereus. These spores are incredibly tough and can survive even when you cook the rice. Now, these spores aren't a problem when the rice is piping hot right after cooking, or when it's cooled down quickly and kept cold. The trouble starts when cooked rice is left standing at room temperature for too long. In that warm, moist environment, those hardy spores can germinate and turn into active bacteria. As these bacteria multiply, they can produce toxins, and unlike the bacteria themselves, these toxins are often heat-resistant. That means even if you reheat the rice until it's steaming hot, you might kill the bacteria that grew, but the toxins they produced could still be present. Now, you might be thinking, what do these toxins do? Well, the immediate effect is typically food poisoning, nasty symptoms like vomiting and diarrhea, sometimes within just a few hours. While unpleasant for anyone, these kinds of illnesses can be particularly dangerous for older adults. They can lead to dehydration, which puts a strain on your kidneys and other organs. Severe dehydration can land you in hospital and can have lasting effects, potentially weakening your system over time. Thinking long-term. While a single bout of food poisoning from rice isn't directly linked to conditions like cancer or dementia, minimizing your body's exposure to toxins and reducing instances of severe illness is a fundamental part of maintaining overall health and resilience as you age. It's about reducing the burden on your system. So, the key with rice leftovers isn't necessarily avoiding reheating altogether, but handling the rice properly from the moment it's cooked. The absolute most important step is to cool cooked rice down as quickly as possible. Don't leave a large pot sitting on the counter for hours. If you've cooked a big batch, divide it into smaller containers. Spreading it out on a tray can also help it cool faster before you transfer it to the fridge. Get it into the refrigerator within an hour or two of cooking, especially in warm conditions. This rapid cooling and refrigeration prevent those spores from germinating and multiplying into toxin-producing bacteria. When you do decide to reheat rice, make sure it's heated thoroughly until it's steaming hot all the way through. Don't just warm it up slightly. Use a microwave, hob, or oven, ensuring even heating. And ideally, only reheat rice once. Reheating multiple times increases the chances that if any bacteria did start to grow, they could reach problematic levels, or that the quality and safety could otherwise deteriorate. If you find yourself with leftover rice that's been sitting out, perhaps after a meal or takeout order that wasn't immediately refrigerated, it's honestly safer to just discard it rather than taking the risk. It might feel wasteful, but your health is far more valuable than a serving of rice. So remember, cook, cool, quickly, refrigerate promptly, reheat thoroughly if you must, and only reheat once. Simple steps that make a big difference. Now, let's look at another food many of us have lingering after a big meal, especially after celebrations or a Sunday roast chicken or other poultry. Cooked chicken is incredibly versatile. Sandwiches, salads, curries, you name it. And reheating it is a common way to use up leftovers. But just like with rice, improper handling and reheating of cooked chicken can pose significant health risks, primarily from bacterial contamination. Poultry can carry bacteria like Salmonella and Campylobacter, which are leading causes of food poisoning. While thorough cooking kills these bacteria, the danger reappears if the cooked chicken isn't stored correctly or if it's reheated improperly. If cooked chicken is left at room temperature, perhaps sitting out after dinner or during preparation for another meal, bacteria can start to multiply rapidly on its surface and within the meat, even if you then reheat it. If the chicken doesn't reach a high enough temperature all the way through, those bacteria might not be killed, leading to food poisoning. Again, for someone over 60, a bout of food poisoning from these bacteria can be very serious, leading to severe dehydration, weakness, and other complications that can take a long time to recover from. Or worse, chronic or repeated exposure to pathogens and the stress they put on the body's immune system is another factor that contributes to overall health. Decline over the years. Minimizing these events is key to maintaining vitality. The key to safely reheating cooked chicken is, first and foremost, safe storage. Just like rice, any leftover cooked chicken needs to be cooled down and refrigerated as quickly as possible. Ideally, within an hour or two of cooking. Store it in a clean, airtight container in the fridge when you're ready to use it. If you're planning to reheat it, the most crucial step is ensuring it gets piping hot all the way through. This means the internal temperature needs to reach a safe level to kill any bacteria that might have grown since it was cooked. You'll know it's hot enough when steam is visibly rising from it and the meat is heated evenly. If you're using a microwave, make sure to stir or turn the chicken halfway through the reheating process to ensure even heating, as microwaves can create hot and cold spots. If you're reheating a larger piece, cutting it into smaller pieces can help it heat more evenly and quickly. Avoid reheating chicken more than once. Each time you reheat and cool food, you're giving bacteria another opportunity to grow if temperatures aren't managed perfectly. Using cooked chicken cold in sandwiches or salads is perfectly safe, provided it was stored correctly in the fridge in the first place. In fact, sometimes using it cold can be a safer option if you're concerned about achieving proper reheating temperatures. It's all about minimizing the time the chicken spends in the danger zone temperature range between about 4 degrees and 60 degrees, or 40 degrees and 140 degrees, where bacteria thrive. So, cool it fast, keep it cold, and if you reheat thoroughly until steaming hot, and just do it once. Taking these precautions with your leftover poultry dramatically reduces your risk and contributes to keeping your digestive system and your body as a whole healthier in the long run. Now that we've discussed rice and chicken, let's move on to some other common foods you might want to think twice about when reheating. Moving on from main courses, let's consider something often served alongside or mixed into dishes: leafy greens, like spinach or kale. Many of us cook a large portion of greens for a meal, perhaps wilting spinach into pasta or serving sautéed kale as a side. It's healthy, packed with vitamins and minerals. But when these cooked greens are left over and then reheated, a natural compound they contain can undergo a transformation that raises some health concerns, potentially linking back to those worries about chronic diseases like cancer. Leafy greens are naturally high in nitrates. Now, nitrates themselves aren't usually a problem. In fact, they can even have some health benefits. The issue arises when cooked greens containing nitrates are allowed to sit at room temperature for too long. This environment, along with certain bacteria that can be present, can cause the nitrates to convert into nitrites. While nitrites also occur naturally and are even used as preservatives, they can, under certain conditions like in the stomach or during repeated heating, react with other compounds to form things called nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are a group of chemicals, and many of them are known carcinogens, meaning they have been shown to cause cancer in studies, particularly linked to certain digestive system cancers. Now, it's important not to panic. The levels of nitrosamines formed from reheating vegetables are generally considered lower than those found in, say, cured meats like bacon or sausages. However, for older adults whose bodies might be less efficient at dealing with harmful compounds, or as part of a lifetime's cumulative exposure, minimizing potential sources of carcinogens is just a sensible part of a health-conscious lifestyle. The risk isn't immediate or guaranteed, but it's a potential contributing factor to be aware of. So, what's the best approach with cooked leafy greens? The safest option is to eat them fresh after cooking. Or, if you have leftovers, cool them quickly and store them in the refrigerator immediately. If you choose to reheat them, do so thoroughly until they are steaming hot, just once. And consume them straight away. Avoid letting them sit around at room temperature after cooking or reheating. Some experts even recommend avoiding reheating cooked greens altogether if possible, opting to eat them cold in a salad or adding them cold to another dish just before serving, provided they were properly refrigerated. If you're adding wilted spinach to a hot soup or stew, it's best to add it towards the end of cooking, so it's just heated through, rather than cooking it separately. Storing, and then reheating the whole dish later. It's about minimizing the time the cooked greens spend in the danger zone temperatures and limiting the conditions under which nitrate conversion and nitrosamine formation can occur. Simple awareness about this potential issue means you can make small adjustments to how you handle your greens and further reduce your potential exposure to these compounds over time. Contributing to your long-term health. Next up, another incredibly common food that often appears as leftovers potatoes. Baked potatoes, boiled potatoes, roasted potatoes, potato dishes like gratins or mashes. We often make more than we need. Reheating them seems perfectly normal. However, potatoes, especially baked potatoes wrapped in foil, can present a specific and potentially very serious food safety risk that's important for older adults to be aware of. The primary concern here is a bacteria called Clostridium botulinum. This is the bacteria that produces the botulinum toxin, which causes botulism, a rare but extremely dangerous form of food poisoning that attacks the nervous system and can be fatal. The spores of Clostridium botulinum are found in soil and can be present on the surface of potatoes. While cooking usually doesn't kill these spores, it's not normally a problem because the bacteria need specific conditions to grow and produce their toxin. Those conditions are typically a low oxygen environment and a temperature in the danger zone above refrigeration. Below very hot, a baked potato wrapped tightly in foil creates a perfect low oxygen environment. If that foil-wrapped potato is cooked and then left at room temperature for a significant period, those spores can germinate in the anaerobic oxygen-free conditions and start producing the deadly botulinum toxin. What's scary is that this toxin is odorless and tasteless, and, crucially, reheating the potato won't necessarily destroy the toxin that has already been produced. So, while the potato itself might not be the issue when reheated, the handling of it beforehand is critical. The biggest risk comes from those foil-wrapped baked potatoes that are cooked and then left to cool on the counter for hours, sometimes even overnight. To avoid this severe risk, if you bake potatoes in foil, remove the foil immediately after they come out of the oven and either eat them straight away or cool them down rapidly and refrigerate them. Don't leave them sitting wrapped at room temperature. For all cooked potato dishes, boiled, roasted, mashed, the same principle applies as with other leftovers. Cool them quickly and get them into the refrigerator within a couple of hours. When you do reheat any cooked potato dish, ensure it's heated thoroughly until steaming hot all the way through. Avoiding the conditions where Clostridium botulinum can thrive and produce its toxin is key. While less directly linked to cancer or dementia risk, like some other compounds, preventing severe botulism is absolutely vital for maintaining health and preventing devastating illness in older age. It's a stark reminder that food safety isn't just about avoiding an upset stomach. It can be about preventing life-threatening conditions. Being diligent about how you handle and store cooked potatoes is a simple, powerful step in protecting yourself. Finally, let's talk about mushrooms. Whether they're button mushrooms, cremini, or more exotic varieties, they're a wonderful addition to many meals. We often saute a batch or add them to sauces and stir fries, and leftovers are common, While reheating cooked mushrooms might seem harmless, it's another food where proper handling and reheating are important to avoid potential digestive issues and ensure you're getting the most nutritional value without unwanted side effects. Mushrooms are quite unique in their composition. They contain proteins that can start to degrade quite quickly after cooking, especially if not stored properly. Reheating these degraded proteins can sometimes make them harder to digest, potentially leading to stomach upset, bloating, or discomfort. For older adults whose digestive systems might be a little more sensitive, this can be particularly unpleasant beyond the protein issue. Mushrooms, because of their porous texture, can also be prone to bacterial growth if they are not stored correctly after cooking. Just like other foods, if cooked mushrooms are left at room temperature, bacteria can multiply, while thorough reheating can kill many bacteria. As we've discussed, some toxins they produce are heat-resistant, so ensuring safe storage from the start is crucial. The recommendation for cooked mushrooms is similar to leafy greens in some ways. The best approach is to eat them fresh after cooking. If you have leftovers, cool them down rapidly and store them in an airtight container in the refrigerator. When it comes to reheating, many food safety experts suggest avoiding reheating cooked mushrooms altogether if possible. If you must reheat them, ensure they were stored properly in the fridge, and then reheat them thoroughly until steaming hot. Ideally, only once. However, using cold cooked mushrooms in dishes is also an option, provided they were cooled and refrigerated quickly after initial cooking. Adding them into a dish that is already hot, just long enough to warm them through, is better than cooking them separately and reheating. It's about respecting the delicate nature of cooked mushrooms and minimizing the potential for bacterial growth or protein degradation that could lead to digestive discomfort or other issues. Again, while not a direct cause of cancer or dementia, consistent good digestive health is vital for overall well-being and nutrient absorption, which supports brain health and general resilience as we age. It all ties back to maintaining your body's optimal function. So, we've looked at some everyday foods like rice, chicken, leafy greens, potatoes, and mushrooms, and gently explored why being mindful about how you handle their leftovers is more important than you might have thought. It's not about causing alarm, but about understanding that simple kitchen practices can have subtle, cumulative effects on our health over the years, potentially contributing to the very health worries we discussed at the beginning. We talked about how improper cooling and reheating can allow harmful bacteria, like Bacillus cereus in rice or Salmonella in chicken, to thrive and produce toxins, leading to potentially serious food poisoning. We also discussed how reheating cooked greens might lead to the formation of potentially carcinogenic nitrosamines, and how improperly stored baked potatoes can pose a severe risk of botulism. And we touched on why reheating mushrooms might lead to digestive upset due to protein breakdown and potential bacterial issues. But the empowering takeaway from all of this isn't just knowing the risks. It's knowing that you have the power to significantly reduce them with very simple changes in your daily routine. It's about cooling foods quickly after cooking, dividing large portions, spreading them out, and getting them into the fridge within that crucial 1 to 2 hour window. It's about storing leftovers safely in airtight containers in the refrigerator for only a few days. And if you choose to reheat, it's about doing it thoroughly until the food is steaming hot all the way through, ensuring any potential bacteria are killed, and ideally, only reheating once, or even better, choosing to eat some leftovers cold when appropriate, like chicken, or maybe adding cooled greens to a cold dish. These aren't complicated rules. They're practical habits that become second nature with a little conscious effort. And they are such valuable habits because they reduce your body's exposure to harmful bacteria, toxins, and potentially carcinogenic compounds over time. Think of it as reducing the background noise of potential threats to your health. By taking these steps, you're not just avoiding an upset stomach today, you're making an investment in your long-term health, supporting your immune system, your digestive health, and overall cellular health in ways that can contribute to reducing your risk of chronic diseases that we worry about, like certain types of cancer and neurodegenerative conditions, helping to protect your vitality and independence as you age. It's a wonderful feeling, isn't it? To know that simple, everyday actions you take right in your own kitchen can be powerful tools in living a healthier, longer life. You don't need expensive supplements or complicated routines. Sometimes, it's just about being a little more mindful about the basics, like how you handle your leftovers. Have you heard about these risks before? Do you have your own tips for safely handling leftovers? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your insights could help others in our community. If you found this information helpful and feel more empowered about your kitchen habits, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us reach more people who could benefit from these tips. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel. We're dedicated to bringing you practical, easy to understand tips and information to help you navigate the journey of aging with confidence, health, and happiness. We're here to support you every step of the way. Remember, small changes can make a big difference to your health and happiness. Keep learning, keep making those smart choices, and keep living your best life, full of energy and vitality. At every age,